welcome in to another episode of Offensively Accurate. Nice to see some of you guys in here already. I do have some terrible news to give you. I got on YouTube earlier today, didn't notice it, got the stream stuff ready, and as I'm looking, I am demonetized. YouTube demonetized me earlier today. Obviously on false grounds. I'm going to try to appeal it. We'll see what goes on with that. I have a very strong suspicion of why I was demonetized. I think most people watching this probably have a good idea of why I was demonetized too. The one thing I will say is I hope this doesn't affect Worrell. So I'll have to talk with him about that. It was actually news to me as of like 20 minutes ago as I was looking at YouTube setting the stream information up. They say that it's because I'm reusing content. I'm actually just reposting content. My entire channel is actually unoriginal. Yeah. And they didn't, and again, like how it is with most of these people who get demonetized for false reasons, there's literally no other information beyond that. So I have to send an appeal in by January 22nd of this month. Who knows if they'll respond to me? Actually, they can't handle more bad news. Yeah, that was a pretty big zinger on me. So if that doesn't get resolved, I'm telling you right now, I will be moving either over to X or Rumble completely, and I'll be just entirely done with the YouTube game. I could even get to 1,000 subscribers before they demonetize me. I must be on point. I believe I did even see a manual message in there too, saying that somebody has specifically reviewed my channel, like an actual person reviewed my channel. Which leads me to believe it's not because I'm reusing content. Obviously, everything I do here is commentary. Forgive me, sorry. Everything that I typically do is generally even like not even playing whole posts of stuff either. I generally just commentate at the beginning, before, in the middle, during, and the after. So I have really low hopes for that, anything happening with that. But also seeing what's going on X too, I have little faith that I would be able to stay monetized on there too. So it'll be something I have to think about. I'll still post here until they decide they want me off the platform. But again, I want to reiterate, I really hope it doesn't affect Worrell either. So yeah, definitely don't send me super chats. I don't even think you have the option to anymore. Just avoid it. I'm going to have to reactivate my locals and probably start using that too. I didn't think it would happen this soon, to be honest. I did not think it was going to happen that soon. It is a form of blocking me. It's like, it's suppression. It's the same thing that's happening on X. It's like freedom of speech, but not paid speech, right? It's a way to get you to toe the line and start saying the correct opinion again so that you can get your monetization back. Like, please, I won't ever say the bad word again. Yeah, it's kind of a joke. Pretty depressing, especially after having the last episode take off. I'm assuming that was the cause of it. It says they started looking into it on January 1st, and that would have been the day we did the stream and talking about the Sam Hyde stuff. Must have been too over the target, as the kids like to say. But again, I'll keep pushing. This isn't me being like, well, I guess I'm done. I will still keep posting here. Obviously, I think I have the most follower count here. But in terms of like making sure to figure out what I can do from here on out, it looks like Rumble will probably have to be that platform. So if you ever want to make it monetizable, but we obviously know it doesn't pay nearly as well as YouTube. Danny says, surprised it didn't happen sooner, to be honest. Yeah, no, me as well. Actually, you know what sucks is I literally can't barely, the screen is like a couple inches away from my face. I can't barely read nothing. So let me put on my Allman glasses here. Rita saying X has turned to shit with his deliberately employed WEF CEO. I believe her name is like Linda Yaccarino, something along that line. Yeah, former WEF official. It was fishy at the time, but again, that kind of like fell out of the news cycle pretty quickly because obviously, well, we all trust Elon Musk, right? I think we're past that point now. I don't think we really trust Elon at this point in time. I think David Icks running Victory Labs talking about how, he's been here since the beginning and he's like kind of rubbing it in people's faces. I'd actually have no problem with that. I prefer to get down to the truth, to get to the bottom of what's going on. But it is nice to see everybody in here. Um, Obviously, was hoping to be out on a bit more of an optimistic note, to be honest with you. But I'm glad everybody's here. And like I said, I'll still push here on YouTube. It's definitely how self jar openers running on YouTube until they decide that I can no longer exist here. Must have gotten too close to the 1,000 subscribers, realizing they'd have to pay me because can't be having that. No one talks bad about Israel on YouTube's watch. Oh man, it's something. It's something. But hopefully I fixed my mic a little bit better too. I hope the volume control sounds better for everybody. If I am quiet, please let me know. I'm trying to do my best to make sure I'm talking directly into the microphone. Um, but we have a few things to get into. Obviously, if you saw the thumbnail, hopefully you saw the thumbnail. You saw Thomas Massie versus Everybody. Spent a little bit of time on that. Used the John Wick poster. I couldn't decide between that one or using the one with I think it's like the Disney movie where he's like got all the swords around his neck. But I thought it was pretty indicative of exactly the way that we saw the political discussion center itself today, at least on X, and what we saw there. Um, so, and then beyond that too, I want to go to a Bernie Sanders post because, you know, am I a Bernie bro now? Like, you know, we have Bernie Sanders coming out here and outflanking everybody on the position of supporting the American worker. But I have to give it to you, Bernie's been pretty consistent for being a man of the people. It's kind of always been like his shtick. So, you know, props to that too. I made a post like, am I a Bernie bro now? Like looking at my hands. And then a few other things too, a little bit more of darker stuff. I will say this will be shorter than normal too. I actually have an appointment later on, you know, work stuff. So hopefully, I'm actually kind of waiting to get a response from one of my managers right now to let me know like when it's time to go, when it's time to get in there and start talking pre-appointment. But again, I'm not leaving. I did want to say too, I'm not leaving. I'm not going on the vacation or not the vacation, man. The Christmas get together. So I will be here tomorrow for jar openers. But who knows? Maybe Worrell would not want me to show up since I'm a demonetized figure now. And maybe it'll hurt his channel. He's got a lot more to lose than I do. I will say that, especially when it comes to losing on YouTube. Maybe he's in here right now and listening, or maybe he will listen to this at some point in time. Yeah, we'll just have to have a discussion about that too. Because I didn't. The whole thing is I do not want to put anything from his channel or his monetization at risk. I always thought I did a good job of self-censoring myself on YouTube. But it seems that it was that Sam Hyde video, which was our jar openers video, that got the original flag. And so beyond that, just a few other smaller things from Trash World. A couple of female pastors just dancing to Megan Thee Stallion, doing ridiculous stuff. Yeah, I see the comments and they know enough pedos for that. Yeah, spot on right there. Spot on. And that's who we're ruled by, right? We're ruled by a bunch of seemingly Jewish pedophiles. Obviously the whole cloak is coming off. I'm demonetized. I'm just going to be as honestly as completely free as humanly possible. I don't care right now, to be honest with you. So subscribe though. It's still a way you can help me out and boost it out. People can probably follow me elsewhere. Follow me on X, and follow me, I guess, soon on Rumble. I'll try to have to get that together. And then share the show. Obviously, it's probably going to be the only way people start hearing about me is if physical word of mouth. It's going to start getting shadow banned into obscurity. But with that, I think that's everything I had to say to start off with this. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's see. One of the first things here, and we're going to do some smaller stuff. We're getting to the Thomas Massie. That's going to be the mainstay here. But I did want to let you know I could end up like hopping off really quickly. And if I do or have to, I will try to actually stream later tonight. I'll try to actually maybe try to get around like 9 p.m. maybe. And that's if this gets cut short. So I'm kind of like looking at my phone back and forth, making sure everything's okay. Rumble is the best. I hear mixed opinions about it, but if it's the only option, it's the only option. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Let's go ahead and get right into this stuff here. Obviously that's my X profile. But some of the couple smaller things I saw here. Let me make sure you move this to a better spot. It's probably not the best spot. I'll make it a little bit bigger so we can at least everybody can read it. Big enough font here. And it's funny because this post here is like, my wife, you seem off today. There was I think he says 7 minutes here, but I think it was like 8 minutes long. There's like an 8-minute long knife fight to the death that was floating around. Now, I didn't ever see it on X, but I saw so many people referring to it. So it at least was circulating somewhere. Obviously coming from the Ukraine-Russian conflict. And it kind of highlights this dystopic reality of that war is being recorded on iPhones, and people are witnessing it, and it is super disturbing, and I think this is like not even specific to just the Russian and Ukraine conflict. There's obviously like even entire pages on X that are just like, I mean, their titles would be like "Crazy Waste, People Die," and it's like, if I'm not paying attention and I'm scrolling my feed, next thing you know, I'm watching a train just absolutely obliterate some person. And then you even see the stuff like the subway attacks, or like you see random kind, and it's just like, I think there's a certain level of like psychological damage that happens that we were not even aware of because we're so desensitized. Um, where you see people just dying through a screen on a screen, you just kind of like there's some kind of like psychological depressant effect or effect from that too. But it's wild to think that there was an 8-minute video that these guys recorded, of like a knife fight to the death. I think one of them ended up taking the other one's eye, and eventually, I won't even describe it to you. But I did see some descriptions and things on there too. Um, Kukla said it would be sad if you no longer stream on YouTube. Yes, it would be. Like I said, I'll stay here as long as possible. I'll probably have to do the multi-streaming. I'm gonna have to set it up so it streams here just the same. But if I got demonetized under 1,000 subscribers for a fake reason, I think I'm on the verge of probably just outright getting banned. I bet you if I appeal this and send the video in, I will no longer have access to YouTube. But I will appeal it. Just let me know that I'm not going to give up. I will appeal it. Um, especially on the grounds of what they're saying. I think somebody might have just got irritated by what I said, but makes me think that they might have tried to trace it to Worrell's channel too. So I'm hoping that he did not get affected. But again, just a side piece here, with again some of the dystopic effects we're getting, and here's another one right here. Here we are in America consuming this war that's happening across the country, just because these ridiculous people, these elitists, these Jews. I mean, you name whatever you want, honestly. Dictating all this stuff. It's disgusting, and America's paying for it. And we'll get into that with Mike Johnson obviously being reelected as speaker. You think they failed the first vote, but was successful the second one. Altogether, just extremely disappointing. And it really was the rhetoric that came from it that was disappointing, because I can expect that we're going to get Mike Johnson pushing through a bill here very soon of more spending that we don't have, that we can't take on. And the national debt surpassed like 36 trillion at this point. It's ridiculous. Another smaller one that I wanted to highlight too, that's just it's this lesbian dyke looking lesbian pastor, female pastor dances to Megan Thee Stallion's Mamushi while adding her own lyrics. I'll go ahead and play it for you. I'll make sure I'm muted and the volume will be okay. But man, like, look at this, dude. Like, look at this.
Connect with the Lord, He'll get you washed out. Oh, connect with the Lord, He'll get you washed out. Stop, 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 stop. Jesus, He'll get you washed out.
This is why women should just never speak, never lead, never. I'm being a bit hyperbolic here, but especially when it comes to church positions and church roles, I mean, it's disgusting. This stuff is so disgusting. I mean, for one, it's like you can barely even tell it's a woman outside of her, having a rack. But it's more so the fact that this is just getting to a point where it seems like they are just overtly mocking it. Like, did this woman take this position just because she wanted some kind of like power flex fetish where she can stand in front of 100 people who actually maybe do believe in God, and she can sit there and pervert it to whatever degree that she would like to? It's astonishing that people just like, we can't even stand up to this. We couldn't even stand up to abortion. People can't stand up to this. How are there so many of these churches? Now, I will say she's not wearing a rainbow sash, but it still obviously echoes a lot of the sentiments that come with progressivism. And there's a specific way that we're supposed to honor the way that things are, like not only just like natural law, but obviously the way that it's written. People can point to, First Timothy, when Paul makes it very explicitly clear. But again, it's seemingly that every time I do see a woman in the pastor role, this is what they're doing. And maybe there is like a small 1 percentile, 2 percentile of some that have been able to uphold the guard and like are doing well. They don't kind of progressify. They don't push it to a progressive point, but just their embodiment of it is a progressive point. And just to make the point too, Christianity is again, and this is a highlight of what we talk about here on the show all the time. Um, it's being subverted to such a degree, it is astonishing. We've even moved past the point of mega churches and Joel Osteen's, to the point that I think the majority of people who think that they are saved are actually not. They've been kind of convinced that they can hold this very, very limp wristed, non-active, non-vocal lifestyle, while consuming everything about Trash World and all the degeneracy here, and somehow make it. I mean, it's, I'm just making a small side point too. But here's the female pastor of the day, right? It seems like we get one of these every single time. Um, Donnie says, "What the actual fuck is this?" Well, the Marmol said years ago they were called snuff films. People kidnapped, raped, knifed, ultimately to die on film. They've brought it to the public. Yeah. And it seemed that, I mean, and that's what's insane too is I that stuff, even like, what was that, even like 15, 20 years ago, it was like you could occasionally come off across the website before kind of like the old Wild West internet kind of died off and everything got very, very like internet securities became a thing. Um, but now, you kind of move to the free speech platform, which I think is a good thing. But that seems to kind of almost dominate portions of the algorithm, and people kind of even seek that stuff out, or maybe they don't even realize it's kind of like something that has an effect on them. Um, Same way where it's like it's just such a very dark thing. It's consumed in the same way like horror film is and stuff along that lines, because you're kind of distant from it, but it's also like has a very high effect on your brain chemistry when you see something of that nature happen. So you don't realize you're like watching it over and over again. But yeah, I overall think it's like a not good. Alcia says it's worse than dangerous loaf of bread. It's as bad as Olympic rapping. Who goes to these churches? Some people mistake kindness for weakness. More Christians I know do the opposite, or most Christians I know do the opposite. Yeah. And again, it is a very, very strong problem, but it's also a very toxic one to even get into the discussion in the first place. Not many people like their beliefs challenged, especially ones that are protected and defended by modern sensibilities. And you get the very easy like, do you hate women? Like, wow, do you hate women? And it's like, dude, have you read your Bible? Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? But again, that's how far we are away from just the natural state of things. That's how dystopic everything is around here. But to get into a bit more of the news, there's just some of the things I saw earlier I wanted to share. Didn't want to spend too much time on them because they're just gonna make everybody sad. It looks like my web browser froze. Hopefully, I can get that fixed up. Well, that's unfortunate. Well, it looks like my entire web browser just froze there, and it's stuck in a bad spot too. Well, I apologize, guys. Let me try to move this out of the way. Let me just make this smaller and like make it not a thing. Okay, let me just get another one here. Well, it looks like I'm going to be crashing out here very soon. Well, it looks like today was going to be a bad day. Looks like I was actually due for it, it seems. Not sure what's going on with my web browser. I can't get a new one to start. Let me try this. Yeah, let me get my glasses on too. I'm seeing that some chats are coming in, but